Welcome back to Anxious at Bedtime, the podcast where we whisper sweet nothings and unsettling everythings straight into your nightmares.
Well, thank you.
I'm Monica, here with my co-host and co-haunter, Cash.
Oh, that's me.
And tonight, we're opening a door we probably shouldn't.
I get told I open a lot of doors I shouldn't open. Say, employees only.
Well, I guess technically the door has been open for a few weeks and we haven't shut it because once again, we are discussing Ouija boards.
Oh, yeah, never mind that. You opened that door, not me. Yeah, that one wasn't me.
So turn the lights down.
I did.
Tuck yourself in.
I probably won't.
And maybe move that board to the other room, just in case.
Probably?
Here are 8 terrifying fictional tales of Ouija encounters gone horribly, horribly wrong.
I'll see if these are realistic or not. I'll debunk or rooney dooney these. Or
Okay.
not, we'll see.
So before we get into our stories, do you have any new things to discuss?
Some newer newsing such items?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to steal your thunder, we finally got 500 downloads.
We did.
If you didn't want me to, then no.
That's fine. But yeah, we got 500 downloads. Thank you guys so
That was
much.
dope. Thanks, guys. Hell yeah.
That was on New Year's Eve when we did vision boards, that was my goal for the whole year. So it's really amazing that we hit that already.
It's pretty dope. I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah.
Mucho appreciate.
I don't know if it's one person downloading and listening 500 times or 500 people listened once and they're like, not for me. But either way, we hit 500. Thank you.
Yeah. It's still 500 fucking downloads. That's dope.
It's exciting. I'm not going to lie. It did make me cry when I saw it.
Oh, it didn't make me cry. I don't cry.
I know.
Other than that, I don't have any updates or anything substantial. No, not really.
I don't think I do either. So let's just get started.
Let's get into it.
Okay. The first story, The Answer That Wasn't Meant for Them, is the title.
Ooh.
It was summer of 1998 in rural Ohio. And with no smartphones, no TikTok, and nowhere to go.
Sounds terrible so far.
It kind of does.
Terrifying, yeah.
3 teenage girls, Heather, Megan, and Alyssa, were left to their own devices. That particular Saturday, they were killing time in Heather's basement, surrounded by junk food wrappers, stacks of magazines, and the musty smell of old carpet.
Sounds even more terrible. It just keeps getting worse, dude.
It does. Heather had just borrowed her older cousin's Ouija board. It was an old one, not the glow-in-the-dark kind from the toy store, but a heavy wooden board with yellowed letters and a faded sun and moon in each corner.
Hold on, so they got like fucking glow-in-the-dark ones too? We didn't discuss that.
Right? I didn't see any glow-in-the-dark ones, but I'm interested.
All right. But yeah, this one probably has some not closed business on it, so let's keep going.
They lit a couple candles, not for the mood, but because the single overhead bulb had been flickering all week. Heather swore she didn't believe in ghosts. Megan was a skeptic too. But Alyssa was a little too quiet as they set up.
Alyssa fucks with it.
Yeah, maybe.
She's about it.
Yeah.
Like the ghost. What's happening?
Yeah. She didn't tell them she'd had a nightmare the night before. One where a voice called her name from beneath the basement door.
Hopefully it was a nightmare.
Hopefully, yeah.
Ooh.
They put their fingers on the planchette and asked the usual, "Is anyone there?" At first, nothing happened. They giggled and accused each other of moving it and waited. After the third time asking, the planchette began to move, slowly gliding to yes. "Who are you?" Megan asked. The board spelled out, "Ramona." "Are you a good spirit?" Heather asked. The planchette hesitated, then slid to no.
Ooh.
At least they're honest.
Yeah, they were like, nah, I was going to lie to you, but
Yeah.
I mean, nah.
I shouldn't.
Nah, I got some shit we got to do.
Alyssa laughed nervously. "Okay, well, we're done." But the planchette jerked under their fingers, spelling rapidly, "Don't leave."
That's like a threat.
Yeah, it is. "Is this one of you messing around?" Megan asked, glaring at Heather. "I swear it's not me." Alyssa leaned forward. "Why don't you want us to leave?" The planchette slowed, then spelled out, not you.
Ooh, I would have been like, oh, not me, I can go. And
Yeah.
sorry, Alyssa, you're out.
But I also think I would have been a little offended.
I would have
Like,
just been
okay.
watching, like, why her, though?
Yeah, I need answers. The girls froze. Megan said, not us? Then who? Again, the planchette moved faster this time. Her. Alyssa's hand twitched off the planchette. She looked pale. This isn't funny, she whispered. I didn't tell you guys. I've had a weird feeling all day, like someone's been watching me.
Must be Ramona.
Must be. Heather tried to laugh it off, but the candles flickered and the basement door at the top of the stairs slammed shut. They jumped. Megan ran to the stairs and yanked at the knob. Locked. Dad, Heather shouted. No answer. Behind them, Alyssa gasped. Her eyes had rolled back for just a second. She slumped sideways, and when she spoke, her voice was low and hoarse. You weren't invited. The planchette began to move again, spelling something despite none of them touching it anymore. It slowly, deliberately spelled
Taco Bell.
stay.
Oh, fuck.
Not Taco Bell. After that night, Alyssa wasn't the same. She started sleepwalking, first just into the hallway, then outside. Once, her mother found her kneeling in the backyard at 2 a.m., her hands muddy, digging at nothing in particular. Her fingernails were cracked with dirt, and she was humming a song no one recognized. So hold on. These girls watched their friend get possessed, and then everyone was like, okay, what do you want to do next?
So he told you, they were like, this isn't a me thing. Sometimes you don't even have to be the fastest friend. You just have to be a little bit faster than one.
Just can't be the slowest. That's wild.
That's what I'm saying. They're like, yeah, better you than me. We'll find out later on in life if they feel guilty about this decision. Sometimes they make sequel movies that tell you they do. They're like, no, I'm sorry, Georgie. But sometimes they're like, man, that was it. And they go about their regular lives.
True.
Yeah, anyways.
A month later, her parents had the basement sealed off. Alyssa doesn't remember what happened down there, but sometimes, in her dreams, she says she still hears someone whispering her name from beneath the floor.
So when they sealed off the fucking basement, does that mean she went back to normal? Like they blocked that demon in there and she couldn't be possessed while she slept anymore?
Hopefully.
Why didn't they just get rid of the Ouija? I'm sure the fucking board was still down there.
That's fair.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
They should have sent it to that museum.
Yep, Salem Witchboard Museum. Next, the Forgotten Brother.
Who?
It was a chilly October evening at a small college in North Carolina when Jake brought an old Ouija board to his dorm's common room. He'd found it at a thrift store the week before. Heavy wood, cracked in one corner, and stained with what he hoped was old coffee. Vintage vibes, he said with a grin, holding up a six-pack as an incentive to get everyone on board. I don't know why, but I feel like you shouldn't use a cracked Ouija board.
Oh, yeah, I probably wouldn't use a cracked Ouija board either. That's like split directly down to like the demonic realm.
Yeah,
Sounds
something.
pretty fucked up.
It does. Or like it wouldn't be able to contain anything that tried to come through. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, it sounds faulty. Probably just keep her pushing, guy.
By 10 p.m., 6 students had gathered around the board. Mostly tipsy, mostly joking. They laughed as they dimmed the lights, then placed their fingers on the planchette.
Terrible rookie move, guys. You're not supposed to do it inebriated. I already know that one.
Someone whispered, "Spirits of the beyond, do you want to hang out?" At first, nothing. But then, slowly, the planchette crept to yes.
Fucking Brad from downstairs is like, shit, dude. Oh, I was just waking up. Yeah, give me a second. All right.
Maybe. Who are you? Someone asked, grinning.
If it says Brad, dude, I'm going to lose it.
The board spelled William.
Ah, shit.
How old are you? 7. Aw, it's a little ghost kid, a girl named Trina said. Ask him what he wants. Jake asked, "Why are you here, William?" The planchette spelled, "To see my brother."
Oh, he's there to party. It's like, dude, my brother's here partying. I miss that guy. I'm going to say what's up.
Oh. The group quieted. Jake raised an eyebrow. "Who's your brother?" The planchette didn't move. Then, slowly, it began spelling again. You.
To Jake?
To Jake.
That's some heavy shit, man.
Yeah. Jake laughed awkwardly. "Okay, which one of you is messing with me?" Not it, Trina said, holding her hands up. I'm barely touching it. Jake frowned. All right, William, if you're my brother, tell me my name. The planchette moved with confidence this time, spelling out Jake's full name.
Oh, shit. It had his government.
Mm-hmm. First
At
name,
7 years
middle
old?
name, last name. Yeah.
Oh,
So that kind
ridiculous.
of, the theory of you keep learning in the afterlife, you know? That
Yeah,
makes sense there.
That's got to be it. Hopefully
Yeah.
you don't have to work in the afterlife because that's still terrifying right now.
Yeah. But he even included the hyphen in his last name that most people forgot. And then it spelled his birth date. Jake stood up, shaking. I never told you guys that. Trina leaned forward. Wait, are you adopted? No, Jake said. Not that I know of. But something was bothering him now.
Yeah, somebody was about to fucking commit identity theft.
Something, yeah.
They were one step short, just needed the social.
Jake had a half memory. A question he'd asked his mom once when he was little. Why there were 2 baby bracelets in the family keepsake box. One labeled Jacob and one labeled William.
Da-dum.
He called his mom the next day. After a long silence, she admitted the truth. She'd been pregnant with twins. One of them hadn't made it.
See, I would have called it right there while I was playing with the Ouija and been
Right.
like, look, I got this dude William on the line on this Ouija. He's saying that he's my brother, Mom. So you got to fucking, you got something to tell me or you got any questions for him? Like, what's up, player? Like,
Yeah.
Now's the time.
I would too. I wouldn't be able to wait. We didn't tell you, she said quietly. You were too young. We thought it would be better that way. That night, Jake had a dream. He was in a forest, kneeling in front of a small, crumbling headstone. It simply read, William, 1992.
Bro, if this dream gave him the location of his brother's actual burial site too and his tombstone, that'd be fucking wild, huh?
That would be wild.
Let's see
Especially
where
if
it
it's
goes.
some random place, because he said he's in a forest.
Right? Why the fuck did they bury him out there? But let's see where this goes.
In the dream, he heard someone whisper, You forgot me. Oh. The Ouija board stayed under his bed for a few weeks before he finally took it to the woods and buried it underneath a tree.
Ah, fuck, he was dreaming of where he was going to bury it. That's rude.
Maybe. But even now, years later, Jake swears he still sees a second shadow when he walks alone. Always beside him, always waiting. So that one's kind of scary, kind of sad.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of both. What do we got next?
Story number 3, The Locked Room Seance.
Ooh.
In the winter of 1974, a small group of amateur paranormal investigators locked themselves inside a room at the now abandoned Ashcroft Asylum.
At least they locked themselves. Somebody else or something else didn't lock them.
Yeah, that's
There's
fair.
a win.
We're off to a good start. The building had been empty for years, its windows boarded up and its walls choked with vines. Locals warned the group not to go inside, but that only made it more tempting.
Well, yeah, they're paranormal investigators. Can
Yeah.
you blame them?
There were 4 of them, students from a nearby university, all obsessed with the supernatural. They called themselves the Ghost Science Club, which sounded cooler after a couple beers.
Nah, probably not. No. I don't think there's enough beers to make that sound cool.
One of them, a guy named Craig, brought a Ouija board he'd carved himself. Ooh, I don't like that.
He's an entrepreneur.
He insisted that a handmade board worked better. More personal, he said. They picked the old day room on the 3rd floor. A heavy wooden door sealed it off, and they locked it from the inside, just to prove they wouldn't back out.
Sounds like some 1970s, 1980s type shit to do.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not a chicken. I'll lock myself in and spend the night.
Yeah,
I've seen that in a movie time or two.
we sure have. Around them, broken furniture sat in piles, the wallpaper peeled in long curls, and dust hung thick in the air. They sat in a circle, lit a few candles, and placed their fingers on the planchette. The board responded quickly. The planchette said, N.
End?
N. Just the letter N.
Ooh.
Is that your name? Craig asked. The planchette slid to yes. Were you a patient here? Yes. What do you want? It paused, then spelled truth.
Ooh, it wants to know why it died.
Maybe. Or to share like some dark secret of the asylum.
Ooh, it wants to spread the truth wild.
Everyone exchanged glances. What truth? Someone asked. The planchette spelled slowly, "Don't trust the man in the red tie."
So is it talking about like a demon? Somebody that used to work at the hospital? Or like the man?
I don't know. I
It's
haven't
the
read it yet.
70s, man.
Oh.
Let's go.
Craig laughed. What man in the red tie? They all looked around. No one was wearing a red tie. One girl, Dana, joked that maybe the ghost was colorblind. But something about the message stuck with them. They asked more questions, but the board went silent. After about an hour, they decided to wrap it up. But as they began to blow out the candles, Dana screamed.
Some guy in a red tie.
She pointed to the cracked mirror hanging on the far wall, one they hadn't noticed before. In it, behind them, was a fifth figure, a man in a red tie, his face completely featureless, like it had been erased.
Ooh.
They turned around, but no one was there. The door wouldn't open. They clawed at it, pounded, screamed for help, but they'd locked it from the inside and the key was gone.
They didn't even have cell phones to call for help.
No, that's terrifying.
See, like, how did more people not die? I mean, I know this is a fictional story, but how did more people not die in the fucking 70s and 80s? They did shit like this all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. It's terrifying. I'm so thankful that we have cell phones and we're not alive back then.
Telling you, modern technology, I love that shit.
Yeah.
Love it.
They spent the rest of the night huddled together, too afraid to sleep. In the morning, the door was mysteriously unlocked. The candles burned to puddles, and the mirror completely shattered.
Well, that guy was pissed. He was trying to get out.
Something.
Maybe he did. That's why it was shattered.
Oh, I don't like that. They left and never went back. I think I'd have to go back in the daylight and just look around.
Yeah, and see if that guy's cardboard, paper mache, Ouija was still there too.
Yeah, that too. Within a year, all four of them died under strange circumstances. Craig drowned in his bathtub. Dana fell from a dorm balcony. One was hit by a bus while crossing an empty street. The fourth just disappeared during a hike, never found.
That's wild.
It is. The worst part? That mirror was the only thing in the room that hadn't been there before. The asylum's blueprints show nothing ever hung on that wall. Okay.
Well, somebody could add it a mirror. This is where the story done fucked up.
Yeah. And when a historian reviewed the footage from the investigation, what little survived, he paused it and zoomed in on a single frame. There, in the reflection, was the man in the red tie. But in that same frame, none of the students had faces either.
Ooh.
I feel like there were some errors with the storyline there.
Oh, a few.
Yeah. So, chat, that one's confusing.
Good try.
Yeah, good try. It was scary. It has all the parts to be really terrifying.
It has the elements.
Yeah. Just missing some of those connecting links.
Blueprints.
Yeah,
For
with
a
the
mirror.
Okay, bud.
Oh.
But that is scary. I would watch the movie.
And then they'd lose me when the detective's like, there was no mirror in the blueprints. I'd be like, what fucking blueprints? Wrong word, bud. But that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Story number 4. The Girl Beneath the Lake.
She's buried beneath it? And we'll see, I guess. I suppose.
In the shadow of the Adirondack Mountains, there's a lake locals don't swim in. It's perfectly still, perfectly round, and perfectly wrong. The trees around it grow in strange, leaning directions, and the water stays cold even in the dead of summer.
Ooh, that means it's a deep lake.
The town calls it Mirror Lake, not because it reflects well, but because they say if you stare into it long enough, something stares back. Back in 2006, a group of high school friends rented a cabin near that lake for a weekend getaway. They brought snacks, beer, and, of course, a Ouija board.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, beer and Ouija boards, guys. Stop doing it.
Yeah, snacks and beer. Fucking excellent. That's a great combo. But the Ouija board with the beer, man.
The beer and snacks is a good combo as long as you are old enough to partake.
Oh, yeah. Snacks, you can be any age. Anyways, I partook in a lot of beer and snacks in my time. Never a Ouija board. So, like, if anybody I was drinking with was like, hey, man, here's a Ouija board. Let's play. I'd be like, no,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
drinking.
I'm okay.
The fuck are you doing?
I'm trying to eat my snacks.
There's a bedroom over there somewhere. But thanks for the snacks and the beer. I digress.
It was one of those Parker Brother ones from the 90s, warped a little from someone's attic. They thought it would be funny to use it on the dock right at midnight. I do not like the idea of being surrounded by water while using a Ouija board.
Yeah, I don't know if that sounds fun.
Yeah. They set it up at the water's edge, the moon reflected in the lake like a glowing coin. Just 4 of them. Zach, Lily, Marcus, and Ash.
I wonder if they had candles.
I don't know. They didn't expect much, just a few cheap scares. But the planchette moved fast. Too fast. It spelled, don't look down. Oh, see, that's why don't play with it by the water. Oh my gosh.
Oh, if it would have said, don't look down, I'd be like, well, how am I supposed to read the next part?
That's a good point.
Somebody.
They froze. Marcus laughed nervously. Too late. Lily glanced at the water and gasped. Guys, there's someone under us.
Ooh.
They all looked. Just beneath the dock, maybe 5 feet underwater, was a pale face. Eyes wide, dark hair floating like seaweed. Oh, like The Grudge. I don't like it. Her mouth was open, not as if she were screaming, but as if she were trying to speak. They scrambled back, knocking over the board. But when they looked again, the girl was gone.
That's how the board got waterlogged the first time and warped.
Yeah.
Somebody else played on water and smacked it in, and
That's
they
probably
just breathed
exactly
the spirit
it.
again.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Oy. Ash was thinking, that's not funny. Who the hell was that? Zach ran to the cabin to get a flashlight. They scanned the water. Nothing. Just shadows and ripples. They thought maybe it was a prank, maybe even a hallucination. But the next morning, Ash was gone.
He ascended?
Maybe.
Oh.
His shoes were still by the door, his phone still charging. No footprints, no note. Just the Ouija board sitting back on the dock. Do you think he was like called to it?
Shit, so you release a spirit and then you have to go into the Ouija board. It's like Jumanji.
Oh.
Only on the dock, though.
Only on.
See why you don't get drunk and play by the water? Fuck around and find out. You get trapped in it until somebody else finds your warped ass Ouija and does it. By the water, though. So if you want to be a kind guy and go release some spirits from their trapped fucking Ouija, make a Reddit thread or something and say, hey, I'm going to release this one. Somebody else come and get me. And you just keep it fucking going. Like, what's that movie? It Follows.
It Follows, yeah.
Like that shit. Keep outrunning the bitch.
Kind of. Don't.
Allegedly.
Yeah. This is for entertainment purposes only. But back to the story. This time, the Ouija board had something carved into it. Not written, carved.
Ooh.
Deep. Like with a knife or a nail.
You got him.
Yeah, Kevin is meowing. I don't know if you can hear
so
it.
Intrigued.
But there were 4 words. She lives below. That's 3 words.
She lives below me.
Something.
Oh, it said it wrong. There was supposed to be a comma in there too. She lives, comma, below.
Oh, get
She
low.
Below, like lay down. You can hear her. And you get down and she's like, "Let me out.
No.
I can't get out."
The police dragged the lake, but they found nothing. No girl, no Ash. Just a rusted pocket knife and a set of small bones. Animal, they said. Zach, Lily, and Marcus don't talk much anymore. Zach refuses to go near open water. Lily sleeps with every light on. Marcus said, I don't know if you can hear that on the microphones, but Kevin is trying to break down the door to get in here.
Kevin's a cat.
Oh, yeah, he's our cat.
Yeah. He's a fucking cat. Also, real quick, you think Ash ran off to be with this Ouija girl?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what happened. He was like, she lives, don't look below. I'm like, don't look for me, I'm down there.
Yeah.
I'm with my mermaid.
This is their little meet cute.
This was my Ariel.
That's what it was. It was like a
she
mermaid.
said, come to the water. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to the water. I'm going to go hang out with my Ariel.
That would be cute. Much better than somebody being stolen,
Possessed.
yeah.
All that stuff. He just found love.
Lily sleeps with every light on. Marcus says sometimes in his dreams he sees a pale hand reaching up from under his bed.
Fucking Ash.
And he wakes up with lake water in his sheets. Honey, that's not lake water.
Yeah, you peed the bed, bud.
It's okay, but it's not from the lake.
Yeah.
They say Mirror Lake is calm because nothing on the surface moves. The movement is all below. Quiet, patient, and hungry.
It's not what you told me earlier, fucker. You told me it's, if you look at it long enough, something stares back at you like a mirror.
Because all the movement's below.
Nah. We're not splitting hairs.
No. Story number 5. The farmhouse that spelled backward. What?
Huh? What?
In rural Pennsylvania, about 20 miles from the nearest gas station, there's a farmhouse that hasn't had a tenant for more than a few months. That's terrifying already. It's surrounded by nothing but cornfields and a winding dirt road that seems to get longer every time you drive it. Locals say the house was cursed after the last of the Galloway family died inside, alone, in 1957. The bodies weren't found for weeks. By then, the flies had taken over. In 2012, a couple named Rachel and Paul rented the house for what they thought would be a peaceful, off-grid escape. They were writers, true crime bloggers, naturally, and the place was cheap. Too cheap. By the second night, Rachel started hearing tapping. Not at the door or the windows, but under the floorboards.
Oh, hold on.
Like fingers, tapping out patterns. She tried to ignore it, chalking it up to old pipes or settling wood.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. Do you know what it reminds me of, though?
No.
I'm sorry I keep rabbit trailing, but we lived in a house a few years ago.
Is it rabbit trailing or rabbit holing?
Yeah, rabbit.
It's not rabbit holing because that's when you deep dive into something. So rabbit trail, you made a new fucking word.
I guess.
New phrase. Let's go.
But a few years ago, we lived in this old house. It was built in, I think, 1927.
Are you saying the cottage?
Yes.
Yeah, that was built in 1492.
No, our last house in Oregon.
Oh yeah, that was 1920 house.
Yeah, I think it was 27. I know we were very close to the 100-year mark.
Yeah.
But that house, oh my gosh.
That thing was fucking wonky.
Yeah, like we've talked about before, we've lived in some pretty haunted places. We've experienced some things that are unexplainable. But that house, there are times, especially in winter, that you could hear things walking around in the walls, under the floors, and it kind of like animals sometimes. There were times it sounded like a person.
Like a whole ass fucking person was like we had a next door neighbor.
Yeah.
That was like banging on the wall or like was drunk and kept falling and stumbling into the wall. It was a standalone house. There's no fucking neighbor.
With a huge yard on every single side. So there was no...
And the walls would fucking shake, so it's not like it was just a sound. Like it was stuff happening.
Yeah.
It was weird.
And then, you could hear the tapping and you could hear like knocking coming from under the floor. And we always were just like, oh, it's, raccoons getting under the house, whatever. But the cherry on top of it all was one winter, we started hearing noises from inside our shower.
So, okay. There was this one time.
Yeah, one time for sure.
One time for sure. It was at least an animal.
At least that's what I'm telling myself. But we started hearing sounds in the shower, and then our cats, especially Kevin, started getting really weird with the shower, and they started
alerting nonstop. Like, there's something fucking here, and just staring down the drain.
Yeah, I would wake up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, and Kevin would be sitting in the shower just staring down the drain.
Growling sometimes, too. That shit was wild.
And I was like, okay, this is really scary. And then one time, I was like, no, I'm positive I can see something down there. So I grabbed a flashlight and I started recording.
In the video, the caveat is 100% of the time that you showered, Kevin would watch for your fucking safety.
Yeah,
like
that's
from
fair.
In the shower mostly. Like he'd sit on the toilet and then he'd run and look in the shower curtain.
Yeah. Now we know that he probably was watching for safety. We thought he was just a weird cat for a long time.
Still do.
But so I grabbed the flashlight and I started recording. And in the video, you can see like a little claws come up through the drain. Oh, it's so freaky.
fucking hair for sure.
Yeah.
Don't
for
know if
sure.
it was Monica's hair that fell out and, goes in the drains and attached to something, or if it
Yeah.
was a hairy animal. Who knows?
I don't know.
But I'm going to go with hairy animal.
I don't know what it was, but it was so scary.
With clumps of Monica's hairs
With
attached
clumps
to
of
it.
my hair. Yeah. It was
Nasty bugger.
very old house, a very old shower, but
New problem, though.
yeah, new problem.
Yeah.
We'd lived there for a few years before we experienced that. And then in that house, it was just weird. Like, that's where we experienced, like, lights flickering a lot. I have a video of...
Now, blame it on the 100-year house, and that could be it. The electrical work, whatever. That could be it. Absolutely. But shit was weird.
So I'm a skeptic, but I'm, like, an optimistic skeptic. I like to think, like, it could be a ghost. It could be whatever.
You're a hopeful skeptic.
Yeah, but I like to make sure it is for sure that. It is, like, it could for sure be a ghost. There's no other explanations before I land on, I think I'm being haunted.
And I try to explain it all the way, and she's like, listen here, fucker.
Because in that
here's
house...
the reason why you're wrong.
Specifically in my office, do you remember that? The one time we went in there and the lights were flickering, and at first we were like, oh, great, now we have, like, electrical issues.
Yeah, and then the flaming apparition of Christ. I remember. Oh.
And then we would say, like, it stopped, and we said, if that was a ghost or something, can you do it again? And it started again. And so, yeah, that happened a few times. That was weird.
It did.
That's the house where, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a little boy dressed as, like, a newspaper boy. I have a video somewhere, I think on my laptop, of the lid of a blender scooting across the counter by itself.
It did it quite a few times, too.
Yeah, it was a really weird house.
All right, where were we at, though?
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is it just, the tapping reminds me of that house.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, so Rachel is hearing tapping, and it sounds like it's fingers causing the tapping out patterns. She tried to ignore it, chalking it up to old pipes or settling wood. But the next day, when Paul went into town, she found something strange in the attic. A shoebox filled with letters written in red pencil. All of them were addressed to the man under the floor. I did not read the story before I brought up the house, and now I'm scared.
Oh, you shouldn't be, I guess.
Did we mention the phone? I don't think we said that a second ago. But there were times that you could hear a phone vibrating when you would hear what sounds like somebody in the walls.
A lot.
Yeah. This is really scary. Okay. She thought it was a creepy kid's game until she flipped one over and saw something scribbled in mirror writing, backwards and shaky, so like red rum.
Red rum.
It said, "Don't ask him questions. He answers in lies." That's poetic.
Don't ask him questions. He answers in lies.
I like that. That night, Paul came home with a surprise. An antique Ouija board he'd found at a junk shop. When in haunted Rome, he joked. I don't know why I made him a 50s housewife, but...
When in haunted Rome. I dig it.
Sorry, Paul. They sat on the floor by the fireplace and started a session. Rachel was hesitant, but Paul was all in. Of course he was. Paul is shooting out red flags right now.
Fucking fierce.
Yeah. "Is anyone here with us?" he asked. The planchette moved slowly. "Yes." Rachel frowned. "What's your name?" The planchette didn't hesitate. "Paul." I don't like it.
Oh.
Oh my God, I don't like that. I would literally shit my pants.
I would look at him and be like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
I saw the writing on the wall.
They both looked at each other. Paul laughed nervously. "Okay, weird." She asked, "Are you trying to scare us?" The board spelled, "Yes." Paul snorted. "At least it's honest." But then it started again, spelling over and over, "Don't ask, don't ask." "Don't ask what?" Rachel whispered. Suddenly, the planchette flew off the board and skittered across the floor like it had been thrown.
You say it skittered?
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck's a skitter?
I don't know, but that's hard to say.
I'm gonna skittered.
Yeah. It's hard to say fast in a sentence.
Yeah, it fucking sounded like you made a mistake, but it was intentional. It
Yeah.
was meant to be that.
The lights flickered. The fireplace hissed. Rachel wanted to stop, but Paul was too curious. He asked one more question. What happens if we keep asking? The Ouija board didn't move. Instead, something else did. The trapdoor of the ceiling flung open with a bang, like it had been kicked from below. The smell that rushed up was sour and old and wrong. They ran.
Somebody was making sourdough in the house. That's fucking disrespectful. Writing messages, baking sourdough. Not even baking it.
Just fermenting it. No, I don't think it's sourdough. But the next morning, they packed their things. They waited until morning.
Well, yeah, they had to leave for the night.
Oh, maybe they did. Okay, that's fair. It said they ran.
Well, that's what the fuck I would have done, right?
Yeah, go somewhere else until the sun rises. Yeah. The next morning, they packed their bags, but before they left, Rachel checked the attic one last time. The shoebox was gone. In its place, carved into the wall with jagged precision, were the words, "I answer in lies." She didn't tell Paul. He was already quiet on the ride back. Too quiet. Girl, that is not Paul.
It might be.
I don't think it is.
Who knows? We'll find out.
I
Maybe.
think Paul was trying to reach out through the Ouija board and say, "Girl, I'm Paul. Who's he?"
And then he kicked that fucking door. He was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, dude, who the fuck is that? I'm
Yeah.
Paul. The fuck
Help.
are you doing? You don't remember my 50 sass? What's going on here?"
Oh, okay. She kept stealing glances at him. That night, as he stood brushing his teeth, she watched him in the mirror. He wasn't blinking. Paul always blinked when he was nervous.
This guy was cool, calm, and collected. He was like, fuck it. Clean teeth. That Rembrandt smile.
And she couldn't shake the feeling that the man beside her wasn't the one who came back.
Well, it had to have been. Wasn't he the
Yeah.
driver?
That was weird wording. I think chat meant the one beside her wasn't her husband. Wasn't the real Paul.
Dun-dun.
Da-da. That is so scary.
Well, do you think she ever found out?
I don't know.
You should email her back and ask.
email chat back.
Yeah.
But we can ask for part 2. But now that story has me wondering, especially after sharing our story.
Was somebody living in our walls?
Are you Cash?
Oh, yeah, I am. And I never lived in the walls either.
No, you didn't.
No, I paid rent. Fuck that. I'm not living in the goddamn walls.
No, I've often wondered if somebody was living in those walls. But I don't think I ever would like to actually know.
I would.
I wouldn't.
I want to know who.
Story number 6, The Name in the Ashes.
The Name in the Ashes.
Every campus has that one legend. The story the upperclassmen tell to freak out the freshmen. At Briarwood University, it was the story of Elias. They said you should never say his name during a Ouija session. Never spell it. Never even think it too hard. If you did, he'd find you. In 2018, 4 students decided to test it. Classic setup. Friday night, candles, cheap vodka, and a dusty old Ouija board that someone had pulled from the basement of the theater department. It smelled like mildew and smoke, but that only added to the vibe. They joked around at first, asking dumb questions. What's the ghost's favorite pizza topping? Does Elias like girls with nose rings? That's when the board started answering. Just one word. You. They laughed it off. Okay, who's moving it? But it didn't stop. You. 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 Over and over, until it spun so fast the board flipped and slammed down hard. The candles blew out. The room was freezing cold. Then the scratching started. It wasn't from inside the room. It was under the carpet. Long, dragging scratches, like fingernails clawing their way to the surface. They turned the lights on and pulled the rug back. Nothing. Just old wood flooring perfectly intact. They wanted to stop, but one of them, Harper, was already typing Elias on the board again, just to prove it was nonsense. Why would she?
Jackass.
Yeah. The second the name was spelled, the board split in half. The candles, relit by then, flared up tall and blue. Someone screamed.
It was Elias.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, ah! I didn't expect it. You guys are so fucking cool.
Their phone speakers all turned on at once and started playing garbled static. And in the middle of it all, someone whispered, "Now I know who you are." They ran. The room filled with smoke, the fire alarm blared. When the RA broke down the door, he found only ashes in the center of the room.
The guy from the story earlier, Ash.
Oh, no. Ashes arranged into letters. 5 of them. HARPE. The last letter hadn't finished burning. Harper dropped out 2 weeks later. The others tried to act like it didn't happen, but they noticed things. Reflections that blinked out of sync. Dorm doors that locked from the outside. One girl said she heard whispering every time she turned the water on. Ooh.
Hi.
Yeah, I don't like that. Imagine every time you flush.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. You're gross.
Yeah.
I saw that.
One night, Harper's roommate woke up to find Harper sitting bolt right up in bed, eyes open, mouth moving silently. She was spelling something on the wall with her finger, over and over and over, dragging it through the dust. Elias. The roommate moved out the next morning. Harper stayed. Her window's been sealed shut ever since. And every year, on the anniversary, someone finds the same word burned into a desk on the 3rd floor of the dorm. Not carved, burned.
Fucking pyros. They keep doing the same shit at the school to keep the tradition going, and they burn shit. Too much, yeah?
But what I don't understand is Harper dropped out of school but stayed living in the dorm.
Yeah, to keep an eye on things. That's in plenty of 80s movies.
She's the one just burning it in there?
Yeah, she's living in the fucking walls.
Oh.
Pops out every anniversary just to burn it. And she's like, I'm going to steal your food when you're in class.
What? Story number 7. The package that bled. Claire wasn't the type to scare easy. She was a night shift nurse, used to strange noises, flickering lights, and people saying creepy things right before they died. So when she came home one evening and found a package on her doorstep, no return address, no stamps, just her name scrawled in red ink, she figured it was a weird gift from one of her true crime obsessed friends. Girl, no! Don't. If you ever find a pack, I would leave
I've
that.
heard of the Unabomber. Yeah, I'm not doing that shit.
I would leave that outside all night and then text my friends at the very least, and be like, hey, was this package from you guys before I bring it in the house? Terrifying.
Yeah, that shit would sit there until somebody stole my Amazon package and they blew up.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not, my brain doesn't even take it to a place of there. My brain is like, if it's some random person's head and they just have the wrong address, I don't want to see it. Like, I don't want to be scarred. You know?
Yeah, no, you've seen me when we've gotten the wrong people's mail at our house, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is, and I leave it there for a few days, and then I'm like, all right, I'll take it back.
Yeah. Don't.
Yeah, I don't touch that shit just in case, and then I end up taking it to their house.
Yeah.
Not in my vehicle. I'll walk it there. If it's like,
a neighbor,
across town or something, I'm gonna fucking put it back in the box
post
and
office.
be like, no, I'm not to put it in my fucking car. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
That's
not
fair.
doing all that.
Okay. But she did not do any of those things.
Yeah, she opened it, huh?
She did. She
Go
opened
figure.
it in the kitchen. Inside, a Ouija board. Nope. Fuck that. I'm out. I would leave it in the house and go anywhere else for the night.
I'll put it back in the box and put it back on the porch.
Put it back out across the street.
And say you're not welcome in this house.
Okay, but the Ouija board. Old, wooden, heavy. The planchette was wrapped in yellowed newspaper. At least they were separated.
Exactly. So you had a chance to just put it away.
Yeah.
Put it back on the porch.
And when she picked it up, it was damp. Not with water. Not with oil. Blood.
Yeah. See, you probably shouldn't have that.
Yeah. Claire dropped it and stumbled back, hand over her mouth. But when she looked again, the planchette was dry. The board clean. No.
Yeah, she was just tripping. Never mind. No
sign of the newspaper at all. I think that's an even bigger red flag, though. Like, yeah, now you're not part of a potential crime, but
Implicit?
but that's scarier.
See, I'd still just put that shit back in a box, put it outside.
Yep.
Go about my business. Wash my hands. Probably
Yeah.
sage or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or even stay the night at a hotel. You're right.
Cleanse your house for sure.
But definitely not going any further.
But again, Claire did not do that, but she did toss the whole thing in the trash.
And then left it in the house and hung out with it all night.
And she took it to the dumpster and slammed the lid shut. But the next morning, it was back on her kitchen table. Because she already let it in. It's like a vampire, once it's in, it's in.
Yeah, you got to tell it it's not welcome, or move.
Yeah, or move. Same board, same planchette. This time, there was a note tucked underneath, written on that same red ink. Don't ignore me. She took it to the police, but they shrugged. Halloween prank, they said. Someone's trying to scare you. She filed a report and tried to forget about it.
I'd be like, motherfucker, it got back in my house again.
Exactly.
That's not a prank. That's breaking and entering.
Yeah.
That is a crime. Can you figure out who the fuck did it?
Yeah. That night, the board spelled out a message on its own. She came home, and the planchette had dragged itself across the board, carving a single word deep into the wood. Listen. Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda, listen.
She didn't want to. She didn't believe in this stuff. But something made her sit down. Hand shaking, she placed her fingers on the planchette. Who are you? She whispered. The planchette moved. You. I don't like it. Ouija board shouldn't be allowed to spell out you.
Well, I mean, if you got other questions, it might be helpful.
I don't know. Almost all of these stories, it said you.
Well, maybe the fucking demon's name is you.
Maybe.
And everyone keeps getting it wrong. They're like, oh no, it's me. You fucking, a bunch of narcissists and shit.
Maybe, yeah.
You're so vain. But really, It's just trying to introduce itself. It's like, nobody's fucking getting me, dude. I digress.
She blinked. What do you mean? You were me. I don't understand. Same face. Same eyes. You let me die. Claire backed away, heart pounding. She didn't remember anything like that, didn't recognize the board, the voice, the message, until the dream started. Every night she saw herself in an old-fashioned dress tied to a stake, a crowd chanting, fire creeping up over her legs, a shadowy man whispering, "You could have stopped this." She'd wake up screaming, smelling smoke. The board stayed on the table no matter where she hid it. Garage, dumpster, neighbor's house. That's disrespectful.
Get rid of the fucking table. Pretty easy.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Crazy. Then the whole fucking table shows up. Yeah, guess what? Now you got a business. You fucking film videos. You invite people over about the disappearing, fucking reappearing table.
Oh, good gravy.
Take it with you. Watch this. Stay the night. Watch it. Go burn it. Watch this. Make fucking money. What are you doing, lady? I wish. I fucking wish.
One night, desperate, she asked it, "What do you want?" The planchette moved so fast it splintered. Burn.
Oh, it wanted to set on fire.
Woof. The kitchen lights exploded. The stove turned on by itself. Flames licked up the curtains.
See?
Yeah, that's scary. Claire ran out barefoot and screaming. The fire department contained it, but the damage was done. Her apartment was blackened, scorched. And in the soot, right there on the kitchen floor, carved into the linoleum like someone had dug it out with their fingernails, was the same word. Burn. She lives out of her car now, but she never leaves the Ouija board behind, because every time she does, it finds its way back. Oh, so it didn't matter if she were in the house or not.
See, that's... Again, she didn't catch it on fire. It was trying to catch itself on fire, but it's not allowed to do that. So it was like, burn me. And she didn't. She saved it.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, you should have just burned the fucking Ouija board instead of catching the house on fire.
So it's like a good entity trying to be like, hey, there's bad ones in here.
It's like, get rid of this fucking board. And she's like, not my place.
Yeah, it's weird.
Get rid of this apartment. How about that? No more rent. And they're like, how about no more fucking house? How about live in a car? And she's like, all right, you're fucking living with me then. Never getting rid of you. Not going anywhere without you. And it's like, fuck. She won. That's how you beat a fucking Ouija board. That's wild.
Yeah.
It thinks it's going to get somebody else. No, it fucking travels around in your car and can't do anything. You take it
guess,
everywhere.
yeah.
All right.
And last but not least, story number 8. The voice behind the glass.
Ooh. Is it mine?
No.
Oh, okay.
In a small town outside of Asheville, North Carolina, there's a man named Joel who hasn't spoken in 7 years. He lives alone in a boarded-up house. No mirrors, no phones, no visitors. Neighbors say they hear him talking late at night, holding full conversations with someone who never responds. At least, not out loud. But that's not true. Joel hears everything. Back in 2015, Joel was a glassblower, a quiet guy, lived with his fiancée, Andrea, in a converted church with stained glass windows and a bell tower that never rang. They collected odd things, antique dolls, Victorian medical tools, and eventually, a Ouija board sealed under glass, mounted like a piece of art. They found it in a thrift shop downtown. The planchette was missing, but the board itself was beautiful, hand-carved, burnished black with strange symbols around the alphabet that didn't look like anything Joel recognized. He hung it in the hallway, purely decorative. But one night, as he was passing by with a cup of tea, he heard a sound. A low scrape. He turned. The planchette, missing for months, was now inside the glass frame, resting on the board.
Must be another prank.
He thought maybe Andrea had found it and added it back. But when he asked her, she frowned. I haven't touched that thing. That night, the whispering began. Faint at first, like someone speaking through a closed door. Joel thought it was the wind. But then it started calling his name. Joel, Joel, behind you. He ripped the board off the wall and threw it in the garage. The whispering didn't stop. If anything, it got clearer. It didn't need to be touched to speak. It just needed to beer. It
needed a beer. This is why people play Ouija with beer. They're like, just in case, man.
It just needed to be nearby.
Ah, shit, that's not it then.
Andrea begged him to get rid of it. He tried. He took it to the dump and threw it in the compactor himself. But it came back. The next morning, it was sitting in the hallway again, covered in dust and glass shards. And the whispering changed. It wasn't asking anymore. It was telling. Andrea left after the first time Joel went into a trance, standing in front of the board, eyes open, unmoving, lips barely moving. She recorded him once. In the video, his voice says, "Let me in. Let me finish. Let me speak." But when he played the tape later, all he heard was static. Andrea moved in with her sister. Joel stayed behind. And that was the last time anyone saw him outside during the day. So, that's not the end of the story yet. And I understand you have to do what's best for you. But that's wild that her husband started acting possessed and she was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, so what resonates with me about all these stories is everybody does the same thing. Nobody tries one of the crucial things to do at the end of the Ouija.
Close the board.
Just say goodbye.
Yeah.
Close the board. So all these people have all these fucking problems. Nobody goes and closes the board. So she moved into a whole ass house with a whole ass different person, whole ass different family, instead of going, let me try to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Let me try Google.
That's wild.
These stories, man.
Now, people say he just stands at the window, staring. Sometimes his mouth moves, but no one's there. One delivery guy swears he saw the planchette move through the glass. It spelled out something he didn't understand. Backwards Latin. Over and over. He Googled it later. It means, the glass is thin, the voice is mine. Joel doesn't speak anymore, but he listens. And if you walk by his house after midnight, they say if you press your ear to the window, you can hear the Ouija board spelling your name. And then you'll hear your own voice answering.
I wonder who gets this guy food.
Oh, Deliveries.
Who's been feeding him? Yeah.
It has to be.
But who's ordering it?
Or
Who's paying?
he's
What kind of job does this guy work?
Maybe he's getting his sustenance somehow through the board. I don't know about his job because I'm
yeah,
sure.
But who's paying the fucking any bills there? Why hasn't the city came and took it? Like they're like, oh, that guy's still there. Nobody's paid the property taxes. Maybe his wife's still paying it. She's like, he's fucking nuts, but I love him.
You know what we need to do? That's gonna be like a little series we start. I think we watch scary movies maybe like once a month, and you just write down all of your questions and keep track of them, and then we'll do an episode about the movie, and you just be the skeptic. Like, this doesn't make sense. What's his job?
Maybe. All right, what's next?
That was the last one.
For those who don't know, we were anxious, but it's bedtime.
Well, if you're still here, congratulations. You didn't get dragged into the void. Yet.
And you could be listener 501, hopefully. At least.
Oh. Thanks for spending your night with us and for letting us summon a little spooky energy into your bedtime routine. If you've got a Ouija board story of your own, or if your board starts spelling our names tonight, please don't tell us. We scare easily.
No, you can tell me. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. You can find us on social media.
We have a YouTube, a TikTok, an Instagram, a Facebook, Threads. I think that's everything.
If you or somebody you know has had a brush with the paranormal and you would like to have that story read on the pod, please email it to anxiousatbedtimepodcast@gmail.com. And that's Anxious at Bedtime Podcast, all spelled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How else would it be?
Anxious at symbol.
Oh, yeah. No, not that. Anxious AT.
Yeah, Anxious AT.
The world can be a scary place with tales of Ouija and nobody closing the gosh dang board. How come they don't close the board and say goodbye? I suppose I will. Goodbye. Good night. And don't be too anxious.
Sleep tight.